All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Always fun to dive into something new.
You can say that again. And today, we're really going deep.
Oh, wait on me.
Well, we're taking a look at this article from, let me see, antaxisastanathia.gra's website, right? And they're exploring, spiritual and metaphysical ideas.
Okay, sounds intriguing.
Right. And this particular article, it proposes that our universe is, well, hologram.
A hologram, like the whole universe.
The whole shebang, even us, projected from a 2D surface inside, get this, a black hole.
Now, that's a concept. Blending physics and philosophy always makes things interesting.
For sure. So, holograms, right. Most people think of that 3D image on a credit card, but how could the entire universe be a hologram?
Well, you got to understand black holes first. They're these areas in space-time, right?
Yeah.
And the gravity there is so strong that nothing, not even light, escapes.
Cosmic drain, basically.
Exactly. And at the center of this drain is what we call a singularity.
Singularity. Okay, that's where all the stuff the black hole swallows ends up, right?
All crammed into an infinitely small point. Infinite density. Mind-boggling, right?
Yeah, my brain's already doing backflips. But so how does this singularity thingy connect to a hologram?
Enter the holographic principle. Basically, it says that all the info about what falls into a black hole doesn't just disappear, it gets encoded on the event horizon.
Event horizon, that's like the point of no return, right?
You got it, like a cosmic memory stick. And this principle suggests that our 3D reality could be a projection from that 2D information, just like how a hologram is a 3D image projected from a flat surface.
So our universe is like a giant movie playing from the surface of a black hole.
That's the theory.
Mm.
And the Big Bang. That might just be the initial flash of this cosmic projector turning on.
Whoa. You know, it's kind of like how scientists are already making touchable holograms. Some even make sounds.
Really?
Yeah. There was a study published in Nature back in 2019 about it. Makes you wonder if we're just a really advanced version of that.
Huh. That is curious. And you know, this whole projected reality idea, it has some roots in ancient philosophy, too. Ever heard of Plato's allegory of the cave?
Oh, yeah, dimly. Something about people in a cave seeing shadows on the wall and thinking it's real.
Precisely. Plato was saying our senses can fool us, and what we see might not be the full picture.
So are we the folks in the cave and the shadows are this holographic projection?
That's the connection this article's making. Maybe we're just seeing a projected image of something much deeper, hidden inside a black hole. Funnily enough, Plato said something similar in his work, Timaeus. This world must necessarily be a copy of something else.
Wow. Ancient wisdom and modern physics coming together. But if we're just projections, what about me? Where does the real me fit in?
Ah, that's where the higher self comes in. The article uses it to bridge the gap between physics and, well, spirituality.
Higher self. Okay, break it down for me.
They call it the ebibadusa. It means like I am presence. Basically, the real you exists within the black hole.
A more complete me hanging out in a black hole. Trippy. But then who's this me here on Earth talking to you?
Think of the akaspathiros, the divine spark. Your blueprint, your soul's essence is on that 2D surface projected outward. That's the you we experience here.
So real me in the black hole, divine spark gets projected out, and bam, holographic me.
You got it. The real you is beyond our 3D world. What we see is just a representation.
Whoa. Definitely a lot to unpack there. Makes you wonder, right? What about physical bodies? Are we just avatars?
Interesting thought, isn't it?
It is. And, this whole idea of a projected image of a first man, it pops up in ancient Gnostic texts, too, specifically the Apocryphon of John.
Oh, right. I remember that one. It talks about a first man whose image shows up on the waters after shaking things up in the abyss. And it's all from light coming from a higher realm.
So are we saying the first man is kind of like the divine spark projected from the black hole?
It's a fascinating parallel, isn't it? Maybe these ancient spiritual folks were onto something way before modern science.
Crazy. Ancient wisdom and science pointing to this mind-blowing holographic universe. But if it's true, what does it mean for, consciousness and free will?
Now, those are the million-dollar questions. And that's exactly what we'll be diving into in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, everyone, be sure to join us for part 2, where we'll tackle those mind-bending questions. See you there.
Welcome back. Hope you've had some time to wrap your head around everything we talked about.
Oh, I've been doing a lot of head scratching, that's for sure. Last time, we left off with this big question about what a holographic universe would mean for things like consciousness and free will. Where do we even begin with that?
It's a big one, all right. But let's start with free will. People have debated this for centuries, right? But this whole hologram idea, Adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Right. Because if all our actions are like pre-programmed on that 2D surface, does free will even exist?
It definitely challenges our understanding of choice, that's for sure.
It's kind of a scary thought, you know? Like, what if all my choices, all my struggles, all the good stuff, it's just an illusion, part of some pre-written script?
It really makes you think about whether we're truly in control.
Right. Exactly. But there must be some way to make sense of it all.
Well, some people say that even if our choices are predetermined at some deep level, we still experience them as real within this holographic reality.
So maybe it's like we're characters in a movie. We don't write the script, but we play our parts with real emotions, real experiences.
That's a good analogy. It suggests that even the experience of free will could be part of the illusion, but inside that illusion, it feels real.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. But what about consciousness? If we're projections, does that mean our thoughts and feelings are also just illusions?
No, this is where things get really interesting. See, the holographic principle doesn't necessarily say that consciousness itself is an illusion. It just challenges where it comes from.
Okay, explain it to me. How does consciousness work in a holographic universe?
Well, usually we think of consciousness as being in the brain, right?
Right.
But if the brain is just another part of this hologram, then consciousness might come from somewhere outside of this physical realm.
From that higher self we talked about.
Exactly. Maybe our consciousness is like a beam of light projected from our higher self into these holographic bodies.
Wow, that's a mind-blowing thought. So, are we basically saying that we're all connected to some kind of universal consciousness, each of us playing our part in this grand cosmic show?
It's a beautiful idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it leads us to another big question, truth.
Truth.
Yeah, if this is all a projection, how do we know what's real? What can we actually trust?
Yeah,
How do we find truth in a holographic universe?
that's a big one. If everything's an illusion, what can you believe in?
It's a valid concern. But think about it this way. Even if our physical world is a projection, the information behind it has to come from somewhere, right?
Right.
That source, that ultimate reality beyond the hologram, that might be the key to understanding truth in a deeper way.
So we need to go beyond the shadows, like in Plato's cave, and find the light that's casting them.
Exactly. A lot of spiritual traditions talk about looking inwards through meditation and things like that. Maybe those practices are a way to tap into that deeper reality, that source of truth.
It's like saying you can't understand a movie just by watching the screen. You got to go behind the scenes to the editing room to see how it's all put together.
That's a perfect analogy. But it brings up another question. If our reality is a projection, who or what is the projector? What's the source of this holographic universe?
Okay, now we're getting really deep. Does the article give any clues about what might be behind this projection?
Well, it talks about the divine spark being the source of our individual holographic selves. But it doesn't go into detail about the ultimate projector. However, it does point towards the role of consciousness.
Consciousness. You mean like maybe consciousness isn't just observing reality, but actually helping to create it?
Exactly. Some theories suggest that consciousness is the fundamental building block of reality, that the physical world actually emerges from a field of consciousness.
Whoa, hold on. Are we saying that our thoughts, our intentions could actually be shaping this holographic reality?
It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it? It aligns with a lot of ancient teachings about the power of the mind. It's a whole other rabbit hole we could go down, but definitely something to think about.
It really makes you reconsider the role we play in all of this. Maybe we have more power than we realize.
Now there's a thought to leave our listeners with.
I agree. Join us for the final part of this episode where we wrap up our exploration of the holographic universe.
And we're back. Part 3 of our holographic universe deep dive. Gotta say, my mind is definitely feeling a little bit fried after all of that.
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure. We've covered a ton of ground. Black holes, divine sparks, consciousness, the idea that our reality might be a projection. It's wild.
It really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways? What should our listeners be walking away with? Well, I think the biggest thing is that the holographic universe is still just a theory. We don't have definitive proof yet. But the evidence and the philosophical questions it raises, definitely something to think about.
It's definitely sparked a lot of debate, that's for sure. In the science world and beyond, it really makes you look at everything differently. Like, what if everything we see is just scratching the surface?
Right. And even if our universe isn't literally a hologram, the concept itself is a powerful metaphor. It shows us how limited our perception can be. And that reality might be way more complex than we can even imagine.
It's like that saying, we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. Our beliefs, our experiences, they all shape how we see things.
Exactly. And the holographic universe idea pushes us to question those limitations, to consider that there might be whole dimensions of reality that we just don't get yet.
It's kind of humbling, right? But also exciting. On the one hand, it means we still have so much to learn about the universe. But it also opens up all these possibilities, like maybe we can experience and understand way more than we think we can.
Exactly. It encourages us to keep exploring the mysteries of consciousness, to learn from ancient wisdom, and to keep pushing the boundaries of science in our search for truth.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll have the tech or the awareness to see beyond this holographic projection, to get a glimpse of what's really going on.
Now, wouldn't that be something? It makes you want to write, if our reality is a projection, what exactly is being projected? And what does that tell us about the projector?
Big questions. It's like asking, if the universe is a movie, what's the story? And who's the director?
Exactly. It all comes back to the nature of consciousness, the role of information in shaping reality, and the possibility that we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Well, I think we've given our listeners plenty to chew on today. This has been an incredible journey exploring this wild holographic universe theory.
I've enjoyed it too. Always fun to tackle the big questions.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep an open mind. The universe is full of mysteries waiting to be discovered.
Until next time.